Gemini, welcome to your July 2016 General Tarotscope. So I have been shuffling the cards and I'd like to briefly talk about some of the transits that are happening for you in July, because especially when you have concentrations of energy, that can kind of give you a little bit of a feeling of a trend in a certain direction. And this is really important because it may not come to pass literally everything that is said in my forecast or another astrologer's forecast, but you at least can get a flavor for what the month is going to be like. And I think that's really important. And in July, there will be a lot of energy in your second house of earned income, because as the month begins, we'll have the sun there, we'll have Mercury, and we'll have Venus there. And Venus, is the ruler of the second house. And so Venus likes the second house. Venus can bring money. This is your earned income sector. And so you may be coming up with other income streams and thinking about them and being creative about them. And there's going to be a new moon in this sector on the 4th of July. So you might experience a new beginning in your earned income, or you may set intentions to attract a new source of money that you earn. And that's just a really good time to think about the ways that you want to actually earn money. And it's a great expansive energy. On the 12th of the month, Venus then goes into your third house, which is your natural house. And this is the house of communications. And it can also relate to some sort of training. It can deal with being a teacher, but particularly of the lower grades. So there may be something that happens that kind of makes that flow for you more. Maybe you're trying to get a job in the educational field, and you will have a lot of charm for potential employers to see you as you are, trying to do your thing, especially if you're student teaching. Maybe you will somehow get the funding to be able to do a particular training. It can be very good for writers. And, Gemini, you are natural writers. So this can, add to your artistic bent, your artistic drive, to have Venus in the third house. You can find love on the internet. I think this is probably one of the best ways for a Gemini person to meet someone, because you are mental people. And I don't mean you're crazy. I mean, you approach life from an intellectual standpoint. So I would think that meeting people and having a meeting of the minds is so much more interesting to you than going to a bar on a Saturday night and, just being shallow. You really think about things and you like to share your ideas with other people. And sometimes when you take away that physical component and you're just dealing with another person's intellectual side, it adds to the experience. And you can really get to know who somebody is rather than just the surface. Mercury goes into this house, the house it rules, on the 13th, a day later. And this adds to this kind of desire to communicate in some form. But with Venus there, it could be with somebody that you are interested in romantically. Mars has turned retrograde at the end of June, and so it is not in your 7th house yet, because it has not gone back into Sagittarius. It will be doing so in early August, but during the month of July, Mars will be in your 6th house of health. So definitely, take advantage of this and make sure that you find ways to move your body in a way that's enjoyable to you, and look out for any signs of situations with your health It can be a very good time to get in shape, to get fit. And then we have a full moon, and this is occurring on the 19th of July, and it's going to be in Capricorn. And so this is your 8th house of other people's money. So there may be some kind of finalized thing that happens. Maybe there is some kind of inheritance issue that was previously being dealt with and now has met its resolution. Maybe your spouse will get a raise. That's always a possibility too. Sometimes full moons bring fullness. There can be a situation where you get closer to somebody that you may have made some kind of a commitment, but you get even closer, and it's on the emotional level. Maybe you made this formal commitment that you were going to be monogamous, but you still were not really getting down deep with that person. And perhaps this full moon changes all that. Maybe you just bare your soul to that person. Alrighty then, let's look at what's going on. Okay, a lot of major arcana, 3 out of 7. The overall energy in July is the Ace of Swords. So you're going to be thinking about a certain situation in a new way, or perhaps embarking on a relationship with somebody who is a fellow air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. But there is, I feel like it's still going to be that you're going to be dealing with life on new terms. And also not wanting any kind of superfluous crap, just getting right down to the nitty-gritty. Because, you know, you guys are people that when you talk, sometimes you can talk for hours and not get to the point. And this energy is about wanting to just keep things short and sweet, but honest and cutting right to the core. So that might be that there is some particular issue that is making you want to be like this. If you're in a relationship and you don't feel like there has been truth, you're going to be that, you know, warrior for truth. And let me look at the recent past to get more info. 8 of Wands. So, you know, this can just be a sudden development that comes into play that either has to do with a love affair. Maybe it's just like falling in love at first sight. But then wanting to, like, you know, read the fine print and get like the details. Maybe you do get swept off your feet, but then you kind of right yourself and say, whoa, wait a second. Who is this person really? You know, maybe it is an internet connection. Because sometimes the 8 of Wands can indicate a message that comes through very quickly. And so I'm thinking you're going to have all this third house stimulation, especially towards the end of the month. And so, yeah, I think that you may just go, whoa, wait a second. After you initially are kind of smitten or excited, because actually this is a card of passion, the 8 of Wands. You know, it just like gets you going, whatever you hear from this person. And sometimes it can be a job offer, and you might be like, okay, this sounds too good to be true, let me check it out. And so that's the Ace of Swords. And you have to kind of see if it's everything it's claiming to be. The higher perspective is the Queen of Cups. So it's interesting because actually, I think what it's saying, because the higher perspective is looking at it from the spiritual dimension rather than the worldly dimension. The worldly dimension tells you use logic. Ace of Swords is logic. It's really kind of filtering out the BS from the truth. But the Queen of Cups is about intuition, and it's also talking about your heart chakra rather than your, I don't know, your sixth chakra or whatever. No, maybe fifth. Something associated with communication, but more of the sixth chakra, more of the intuition, which transcends the intellect. And I think this is a very important point because you may have a habit of looking at things rationally. Ace of Swords, using your mind to solve the problem or to deal with the situation, to make a decision. And the Queen of Cups is saying, no, try it this way. How do you feel about this? How does it really feel? Are you even in contact with your feelings? Are you connected to your feelings? And tapping into the psychic realm. The first way that you do that, if you feel like you have no clue on how to do that, is just by sitting with yourself and saying, how does this feel to me? And if you don't know how to label your feelings, just think about like even physical sensations. When you start to feel like butterflies about something, that's your third chakra being activated. That's your power center feeling threatened. And a lot of times, butterflies in the stomach indicate that somebody is afraid of either being overpowered or of not being competent enough. These are the issues surrounding power. When people don't feel like they measure up, that can give them butterflies. When people feel like other people are overriding them or controlling them, that is personal power as well. When they feel like they don't have that control over their own lives. So paying attention to your physical sensations is one way to do it, but also just being still. And that's very difficult for Geminis. You're like ADD poster children. You love the mental stimulation. The internet is like crack to you. And so it's very difficult for a lot of Geminis unless you have a lot of water, especially, I would say, Cancer is right next to you, so you may have some Cancer personal planets. That makes it much more likely for you to be quiet and receptive, but usually you're very active, especially mentally. But even physically, you're like Quicksilver. So it can be difficult to pin you down and for you to pin yourself down to having one thought and to just tapping into your higher self. But you may, whatever the situation that comes up, or whether it's a job offer or whether it's a new romance, you can be able to make the right choices if you do connect with your spirit guides or your higher self or whatever. The card that crosses you is the Emperor card. Is there an Aries person in your life that is, being a drag? Somebody that is very controlling. I always think of it as rather negative because there's a rigidity. There's not a flexibility of thought like you like to have. So somebody that says, no, this is this and that's that, and everything is black and white, there is no gray. I was going to say gray is for liberals because, that's part of it, like saying liberal conservative, and not seeing that we may be liberal about some things and conservative about other things. And what's liberal to one person is conservative to another. It depends on how you're conditioned. But yeah, so this could be somebody who's literally an Aries or somebody who is a person in law enforcement or the military, and they may be your spouse, they may be the father or mother of your child, and you have to deal with them on a regular basis. But this person is kind of cramping your style for some reason, or wreaking havoc on your life sometimes, depending on who they are. Maybe it's a boss. And maybe that's why you're looking for another job. Some of you. Remember, this is a general reading, obviously. The attitude which helps you is the World card. This is the last card of the Major Arcana. And it speaks to an ending. And there's victory associated with the ending in the upright position. You have something to be proud of, but it is an ending. So you are going into a new phase. And maybe because you've just had your solar return, you thought you were already in that phase. But maybe there's some stuff that still has not been resolved from your past. And that has to be kind of dealt with before you can fully move forward. Well, this is just kind of making you aware of those transitions, so that if you are trying to go to the next phase, which is what the Ace of Swords can also mean, you still realize that there are things to clean up from your past before you can truly move forward. And right on cue, the advice is the Ace of Cups, aces. See, we got these aces, so that shows the new beginnings. One door closes, two more, begin. The beginnings of love. For people that are not interested in a love relationship, maybe there's a new job that this card represents, and it speaks to your heart. It's not just another day at the office. It's something that you've really wanted, or it's something that you feel is what you came here to do. And so there's like a soulful quality. But the Ace of Cups is a really beautiful card for feeling emotionally content. And the outcome is the Lover's card. Very self-explanatory. Also your card, Gemini. So I was going to say you get the girl, but obviously I have a lot of female viewers, and so you may want to get the guy. You get the guy, you get the girl. You get it on. See? But it could be a choice that you have to make. And it may have nothing to do with your romantic life. It may have to do with something up here, some kind of offer. And you may be kind of saying, do I want to take something that kind of speaks to my heart? Maybe you have a job right now that you don't like, but maybe it pays more money. But a lot of these things are concepts. A lot of times people will trade in their true desire for something that is more monetarily rewarding. And if the environment is stressful, if you feel unfulfilled, you have to look at cost and value in a broader sense, I feel. Because sometimes you trade serenity for currency. And money can always be expanded upon. Maybe you can do it in a different way. But if you're feeling positive about what you're doing, I think that is worth so much more than, making a lot of money and feeling stressed all the time, and maybe working long hours and not having time to do other things. So it's definitely something to think about, but you do seem to have a shift happening of some sort, Gemini, and I wish you well on your journey in July. If you'd like a personal reading, click on the link below. Otherwise, take care. Bye.